What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Crash Blade Gaming. I am your host Crash, and a couple videos ago, maybe like 3 or 4 videos ago, I said I was going to look at Single Strike Lugia. So here we are. We're looking at Single Strike Lugia, checking out what it's doing, how it is, how it works, and if it's actually good. And well, I think there's a lot of different ways you can play Single Strike Lugia, and this way is one of my favorites. Maybe I'll look at one with what is it? Umbreon, Single Strike Umbreon VMAX as well. I think that'd be a fun, interesting way to play Lugia. So yeah, we're going to dig into that, and you know what? It's time for the Pokemon question of the day. Welcome back to another Pokemon question of the day. Let's go over last video's question. In the movie Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, which 3 Pokemon are shown as the first 3 clones Mewtwo makes? And if you were like most of the commenters, you went ahead and guessed Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. These guys are the first clones, and they got some like tribal markings on them, which make them look relatively cool. So congratulations to Tag and Toast and Band. That gives you guys points, and I believe Bandsocks, that gives you 3 points. So you will be receiving a prize from me on Twitter, and that is the second place prize. So we will reset all the points for next video, because I will not be doing a question in this video. Didn't have time to research a question good enough to put into the video. So anyways, congratulations Bad Socks, you got second place, and stick around to the next video where we restart the Pokemon question of the day point progress so that you guys can win some prizes. So let's go ahead and get to the deck list. We all know Lugia V-STAR very well with the Tempest Dive attack for 4 colorless energy, does 220 damage, and we can discard a stadium card in play. But the main thing here is Summoning Star during our turn, where you can put up to 2 colorless Pokemon that don't have a rule box from our discard pile onto our bench, which is the way that Lugia powers itself up by utilizing the good old Archeops here with the Primal Turbo ability. Once during our turn, we can search our deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of our Pokemon, and then we shuffle our deck, of course. And so we are pairing this with a Single Strike variant. We have Radiant Tsareena here. This is to help with the Lost Box matchup, so that we can heal 20 damage from all of our Pokemon. That pesky Sableye. We have 2 copies of Lumineon, because we want to find our Professor's Burnett and any supporters that we need to help get these Archeops in the discard pile. 1 Pumpkaboo, because Path to the Peak will destroy us in the early games, so we want to be able to bounce those stadiums and other stadiums as well, like Temple of Sinnoh. And then we have a 1/1 line of Single Strike Urshifu here. Mainly we're going to be using the VMAX with the GMAX 1 blow attack for 270 damage. We discard all energies after we use the attack, but that's okay. This is usually going to be our big finisher. It can hit up to, let's see, if you have 4 Single Strike energy, that's an extra 20, 40, 80... extra 80 damage, I believe. So you can hit pretty high numbers and KO anything you want. We have 2 copies of Stonjourner in here. Fighting is a very good weakness to hit. We KO Arceus, we KO Miraidons. So we have 2 attacks that we can utilize here. Lance Pulse does 30 plus, 30 more damage if there's a stadium in play. And then Giga Hammer, of course, does 120 damage. But you have to remember that Single Strike energy can power up these Pokemon pretty high. We also have 1 copy of Tyranitar V here. Really good in the Lost Box matchup as well, and for KOing other Pokemon V. We have Craglanch for 3 energies, does 60 damage, and we get to discard the top 2 cards of our opponent's deck, which is really good. And Single Strike Crush for 240 damage, which is hitting a perfect number. We have a 4 energy attack cost there, but we do have to discard the top 4 cards of our deck, which makes this a little bit risky to use, but it's still a good attack. We already talked about these guys. Don't need to talk about Lugia. And now we're going to get into the item cards here. We have 4 copies of Capturing Aroma. We want to increase our chance of getting everything that we can. 2 copies of Nest Ball, because we don't care about basics that much. 1 copy of Palpad, which I'll get into in a little bit. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Of course, we're trying to find all the Pokemon that we want, so we want that in our deck so that we can search everything out. 3 Urns of Vitality. We do have a lot of heavy cost Pokemon that use Single Strike energy, so if they do get KO'd, we can recycle that energy. 1 copy of Collapsed Stadium. This is so if our bench is full and we have a Lumineon in play, we can play this down, discard the Lumineon, get rid of those free 2 prizes pretty much. 2 copies of Mesagoza, another way that we can guarantee ways to search out our Pokemon as well. 2 Boss's Orders, of course. We're always going to play 2 Boss's Orders. 1 Cheren's Care, because Lugia is actually kind of hard to get to KO with 280 damage for 1 shot, so we play 1 copies of Cheren's Care just in case we can pick it up. 2 Judges as well. Good against Lost Box, of course, and anybody else. Hand Disruption. We can play Judge when we need to. 1 copy of Professor Burnett. This supporter lets us search our deck for 2 cards and discard them. Well, if we get this turn 1, you know what we're discarding, 2 Archeops. That's why it's in here. 3 copies of Professor's Research, and now we're into our energies. We have 3 double turbo energy, 2 gift energy, which is really good. If the Pokemon this card's attached to is KO'd, we get to draw until we have 7 cards in our hand, so kind of helps the draw ability of the deck. 1 copy of Impact Energy, and 2 copies of Regenerative Energy, just in case our Lugia takes damage, we can attach this and heal 100, which I think is pretty well. And 4 copies of the Single Strike Energy, which does 20 more damage for our Single Strike Pokemon. Oh, and then we have 2 copies of V-Guard Energy. We all know what V-Guard is in here for, take 30 less damage from Pokemon V. But that rounds out our Single Strike Lugia deck. The Palpad is in here just to get back a Cheren's Care if we needed a boss's orders just in case, and maybe another judge. Sometimes having access to 3 judges is good, so keep that in mind. Some pros of this deck is we are really good at one-hit KOing anything in our path. Tyranitar, Lugia V-STAR hits 220, that's good for EXs. Of course, Single Strike Urshifu one-shots everything. Stonjourner, if you're hitting for weakness, you one-shot everything, so it's really good. We are also very resilient in this deck. Our Pokemon are beefy Pokemon. Tyranitar has a lot of HP, Lugia has a lot of HP, and so does Single Strike Urshifu. And we're not using the Houndoom engine, so we are not actually taking damage, which is really good for our resiliency in this deck. And we also have a lot of variety, a lot of different ways that we can win with this deck. You just have to find the correct one, and you are going to win a lot of matchups. And the scores for this deck as well, we are a 6 speed. We are a little bit slow to set up sometimes, which is kind of detrimental, but we are a 8 power. We hit pretty hard, and our consistency is 8. We are very consistent in this deck as well. We have a 5 for draw, just because we actually are only relying on supporters for draw, and we only have 5. If you think about it, without the Palpad, we only have 5 draw supporters, so keep that in mind. The fun of this deck, I give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoy playing this deck because you have so many ways to win, so many choices to make here and there. So I had a really good time playing this deck, which rounds out the total to 37 out of 50 points, which is not too bad. Pretty good deck overall. And then we have our cons here. Archeops is the con. If we fail to get Archeops, well, why did you do that? If we fail to get our Archeops into the discards, this deck does not function very well, so keep that in mind. And stadiums as well. Stadiums are our bane. Paths of the Peak, Temple of Sinnoh really shut down this deck, so we have at least 4 ways to bounce stadiums besides Lugia's attack as well. So keep that in mind. Those are the cons of the deck, and it is, I'd say another con is a little bit of draw. Keep that in mind as well when you're going through this deck. But hey, that rounds out the deck list. Let's go ahead and watch it in action. Bidoof, Moltres. Okay. What are we going to do here? I think we're going to want to play Capturing Aroma. Let's play Capturing Aroma. Tails gets us a basic, I believe. So we're going to want a Lumineon then, so we can Professor Burn it next turn. Attach the V-Guard. And I'll pass. Pass. If the game will go. There it goes. Okay. Well, not much we could have done here. I could have Ultra Balled for other things, but realistically, we don't want to do any of that. We might be going up against Arcanine EX and TV, so V-Guard Energy is in play. There could still be Arcanine, though. Charmander from Pokemon Go is there. Kindler. Gonna discard a Fire Energy, look at the top 7, and pick what? I don't know what the 2 cards? Yep, 2 cards put into their hand. It seems like we have time. Here comes an Entei. Wouldn't be able to attack unless they had a Magma Basin, so they're gonna fleet-footed. And unfortunately, Lugia actually can't KO an Entei in one shot without a Choice Belt, which we are not playing. But regardless, ooh. I think we're still going to Professor Burn. Oh, I should have checked if Professor Burnet's in the deck. But regardless, we're going to get a supporter. If that happens to be Professor Burnett, it is. Okay. That way we can kind of get rolling here. So we'll get Professor Burnett out the deck. And then we can play it. Let's get 2 Archeops in the discard. And then, I don't think Radiant Tsareena is actually going to be that important in this matchup. So we can Ultra Ball away Radiant Tsareena Archeops. Get ourselves Lugia. We're missing one of our Lumineon, so that's in the prizes. Keep that in mind. Play Lugia here. And of course we're going to use the Summoning Star ability to get out some Archeops. And we can start Primal Turboing to the Lugia V-Star here. We'll give it a double turbo and a gift energy. Oh, I chose an impact. Oh, whoops. That's a mistake. My bad. That gets discarded. That was a little bit of a misplay on my part. That's okay. We can attach the double turbo since we're not going to get a KO here. We could play the Urshifu and Primal Turbo to the Urshifu here. Get a couple of the single strike energies onto Urshifu. That way we thin our deck from energy, and we can go ahead and utilize Tempest Dive for 200 damage on the NTV. Unfortunately, we're in top deck mode, so we'll have to see what goes on with that. I misclicked. I thought I clicked the double turbo, but I guess I clicked the impact energy. So that's my fault. It happens, I suppose. A Radiant Charizard. Be careful with this. That dude does have access to Choice Belt. There's a Charmeleon. Urshifu can get a KO on anything next turn. But it looks like they're going to attack with oh, they're going to boss. The Lumineon, they're going to go for a quick KO. That's fine. They're not hitting our main Pokemon, which is good. Do we Impact Blow? No, I think we still go with Lugia. We have Cheren's Care, so we can always pick up Lugia after it takes a hit. There's another Lugia. Let's go ahead and Primal Turbo onto the Urshifu. We'll give it that. And a V-Guard. Boom. And then we'll just go ahead and Tempest Dive. Oh, I had to sneeze there. We get the KO on NTV, which is good. Fantastic. We'll take prize number 5 and prize number 2. 5 is my good number. And a Research and Lumineon. Okay. So let's see. We don't need Stonjourner in this matchup. Urshifu's great in this matchup. Who's the other single strike? Tyranitar is decent. We get judged. No, I just got a Research, my friend. Dang it. Okay. We'll take it. I can Research this away. Another Lugia V-Star is good too. So they just passed the turn. I could go for a boss play on the Entei and KO it, right? 180, 200, 220, 240. But then Charizard can come up and KO us. Unless I Mesagoza and I get the VMAX, but I don't want to give them access to Mesagoza, so we'll just Research there. We did find the VMAX and the Mesagoza if we want to. We also got a Palpad we can play, but I don't think I have... I just have one Research in there, so I don't really care for Palpad right now. Mesagoza guarantees them the Charizard. I don't want to do that. So we can Ultra Ball, get rid of Palpad Mesagoza. We're going to grab Urshifu VMAX so that they can't KO it with Charizard here. We'll do that, and then we'll just Tempest Dive, KO the Moltres. Just fine. Take prize number 4. Nest Ball's good. That gets me a Tyranitar. I don't mind getting Tyranitar with the Nest Ball. It's just another great attacker that we have. We have 2 Urns, by the way, so... Next turn, we're probably just going to retreat Lugia V-Star, KO the Entei, and then win from there. Our opponent is slightly behind in prizing. They did end up KOing the Lumineon first, but they don't have any damage on any of our main attackers. There is a barrel for them, so that's good. Let's see, if I didn't research, it would have been a 50-50 chance to get the Urshifu VMAX. And I had the guaranteed boss. There's the Pogo Charizard Magma Basin. Now Entei just needs the 1 energy to attack, which is really fantastic for them. A Nest Ball from our opponent. Another Entei. So this is like an Entei Firebox deck with Pogo Charizard. All they need is 1 energy to attack. They are attaching to a Radiant Charizard. Radiant Charizard may be able to attack this turn. We've taken 3 prizes. It is. Radiant Charizard is able to attack. But unfortunately for them, Lugia can take a hit from this Entei. And then we can just retreat into Rapid Strike. Single Strike Urshifu. Take a KO. Take a hit. And then just repeat here. And all we have to do is discard all the energy from our Urshifu, so it doesn't really matter. But they do attack us with Radiant Charizard here. I think one of my single strike energies are prized. Let's check. Primal Turbo. They are. Beatdown is doing 160. That's enough to KO Charizard. So we just retreat. Get rid of the double turbo. Go in with Urshi. Archeops, let's get another double turbo out of the deck. Attach it to Lugia. We don't need that many double turbos anymore. And then we can also grab Tyranitar out of the deck. Just so we have another attacker ready to go at some point. And we can actually just use Beatdown here. Take the KO on Charizard. And say, hey, you got to get through our Urshifu. It's going to one-shot any Pokemon you bring up. We are down 2 urns if I research. And we have 1 urn left as long as it's not in the discard. And that looks like it isn't. So, our opponent's at quite of a conundrum. They're going to boss. Let's see what they go for. They're going for Lugia, so they want the KO here. They could have boss trapped Tyranitar, but we have energy in the deck to be able to retreat him. I just pulled out Tyranitar just because I could. They may attack with Charizard, though. That is an option. That could force me to go through another Pokemon and extend this game just a little bit longer. Which is not a bad plan from our opponent. Did they already Magma Basin? They have not. If they have a way to bring that Charizard into the active, this might be a game, folks. Okay, they attached to Entei V, so that Charizard's not coming up. I think the best play for our opponent would have been to attack with Pogo Charizard to get the KO on the Lugia V-Star, force me to take out another single prizer, and then they could have had another boss's orders on the Tyranitar. So actually, me playing that Tyranitar may have thrown the game if they had gone that route, but they did not. Here we are. Big boy Urshi's coming up. And it will take the KO on Entei V and just take the last 2 prizes for us. Top deck of a judge, but we don't need to play anything. We just G-Max 1 blow, get the KO here on these Enteis, and say, see you later. GG's, my friend. Take these last 2 prizes. See what they were. Single Strike Energy, Lugia. Alright. Fantastic. Going up against Lost Box, and we get to go first. So Radiant Tsareena is going to be necessary. So we'll throw down Radiant Tsareena. Tyranitar will actually be decent, but we're going to save the Tyranitar and the Stonjourner in our hand. We're just going to pass. We have Professor Burner for next turn, but we don't have Lugia V-Star, which might be a little bit of an issue, but that's okay. So we'll see where we can go with this. Professor Burnett will drop 2 Archeops in the discard. If we can find an Ultra Ball or a Capturing Aroma, that's a chance to get Lugia V-STAR and we can pop off next turn. It's kind of the hope. That looked like a Comfy going in. No, it's a Fighting Energy. Why do they play Fighting Energy? What Pokemon do they pair that with that plays Fighting Energy? Zapdos. Okay. Thanks for answering the question for me by just doing Lost Zoning. Lightning Energy. Retreat into their 3rd Comfy. Looks like they don't have a Chorus's Experiment just yet, but this might get them there. They have gotten to see 6 cards. 3 of them are in the Lost Zone now. Pokegear, that's probably going to get them Chorus's Experiment. I imagine that's what that was. Oh, it wasn't. I didn't get to see what it was, but okay. Urn of Vitality, we don't want to see that, so we're just going to Professor Burnett. Looks like we have time. I'd rather guarantee the stuff in the discard. We have all the Pokemon we could want in the deck. We might even go double Lugia here. Cheren's Care's in there. And we got some Energies prize, but that's okay. And we don't want to give easy KOs, so I don't think we're going to play anybody else just yet. We're going to end this turn here. So next turn we're going to probably play... It might be better just to play Urshifu, but Cragalanche is fun. Because I can discard some cards out of my opponent's deck, which is great. But depending on which... It really just depends on which single or which Lost Box variant I'm going up against. If I want to do such a thing. In terms of doing Cragalanche and things like that. So we'll have to figure that out. I don't know though. I'm surprised Pokegear didn't get them a Chorus's Experiment. I wonder what it got them. Maybe it was a boss? Or Clara? I can't think of any other real supporters that are in this deck. Rapid Strike Energy. Is this a Lost Box Rapid Strike Urshifu build? That's insane. If so, we're definitely going to want to play Single Strike Urshifu. And not Tyranitar. There goes Sableye and a Nest Ball. I would love to judge our opponent this coming turn, but I'm afraid of Judge. Kind of want to get 7 fresh cards so I can guarantee my Lugia V-STAR and start attacking. I do need to start attacking ASAP. So, we got to go through that. They've got 7 cards in the Lost Zone. They can now use Mirage Gate. They pass the turn again, so this is fairly decent for us. There's another Lugia V, which is good. We'll play that one. We can research everybody else away. We don't need to see all those. Ultra Ball's good. Capturing Aroma is better. So we'll play Capturing Aroma. We flip heads, that's perfect. That'll get us our V-STAR. V-STAR it is. V-STAR it up. And then we can Summoning Star. Bring out our Archeops. And then get rolling with Primal Turbo. Let's attach Double Turbo. And a Gift Energy. And then we can attach V-Guard from hand. Ultra Ball away a Single Strike Energy, grab Urshifu. I think that's cool, because we still have Urns in the deck. So we can Ultra Ball away these two. Grab ourselves Single Strike Urshi. And we can Primal Turbo to him. Get that all set up. We have VMAX in hand for next turn and Judge. So I think we're looking pretty solid for next turn. If our opponent's hand stays as large as it is, we can set them back a little bit. Let's go ahead and take prize number 1. I haven't selected that first in a long time. Urn of Vitality. Okay, so we had some Urns prize that I didn't know about. So good thing that we pulled that off the prize cards, because I would have been a little frustrated since I got rid of an urn already. So good for us there. That would have been a little scary. Not gonna lie. Alright. So a Comfy. We also want to find our boss's orders, especially if they play V Pokemon. This would be a good time to find boss. Ooh, easiest chorus experiment in the world. 2 double battle VIP passes going into the Lost Zone. That gives them 10. So they could be playing Giratina here. But we're not scared of Giratina yet. Maybe I should not have bench locked myself and had access to my second Lumineon so I could find the boss. But, oh well, here we are. We're here. We have to deal with what we got. We're going to judge our opponent. They have a ridiculously large hand. But they haven't given away anything that I'm scared of yet. There goes another Rapid Strike energy. Sableye. There's the Sableye. They can start pinging stuff with Sableye here. They're only going to be able to do 12 damage counters that can't KO anybody on my bench. We can go ahead and go up with Urshifu. We'll be able to attack with him next turn. Since we have VMAX in hand, we'll have Judge for next turn as well. And Radiant Tsareena will be able to heal 20 damage if they try to spread. They're going to have to target down one Pokemon to maximize the amount of damage Sableye can do. If they spread it at all, Tsareena is a good counter to this. There's a Lost Mine. Let's see where they put all their damage counters. Hopefully they do as I say and target one Pokemon. They're targeting one Archeops. They're targeting 2 Archeops. That's 40 less damage that they're going to do. Simply because Radiant Tsareena will heal all of that off. They split it between both. Okay. Let's go Urshifu VMAX. Primal Turbo. We're going to set up for the G-Max 1 blow just in case we need it. And then we're also going to Archeops onto the other Lugia. And just in case as well. We'll just do 1 double turbo for now. And then we can heal off the damage. Resetting some of Sableye's damage. And then we can judge here. Putting our opponent's hand down to 4, which is awesome. Capturing Aroma, Archeops. Useless cards. We could play Capturing Aroma to get down another Lugia V-Star, however. We flip tails, so we're just going to pull out a Pokemon that we don't need, like Stonjourner. So we can research this hand away next turn. And go ahead and use Beatdown. They have resistance, but we have enough damage to KO the Sableye, beat him down, and take prize number 4. Another urn. So we prized 2 of our urns. That's actually scary. I'm surprised I didn't realize this because I got rid of this urn at like the beginning of the game, which would have been terrifying otherwise. But unfortunately, I did pick the 2 urns right away off these 2 prizes, and so I'm going to have to research this one away just because I need to find my way into a boss's orders. Actually, I can play this urn, right? I can at least play the urn to get another single strike energy into play, which is good. And we judged our opponent. They are going to be able to see 5 cards this next turn. Can I attach this to a regular Pokemon? Cannot. Bummer. But we are okay. You know what? I may have overplayed my energy. I should not have attached the double turbo to Lugia here. Thinking about it, I may have overplayed it because Lost Box, I have seen Mawile. And Mawile can boss trap or Tsareena. But they would have to be able to do that twice to win the game. I do have enough energy to retreat once. So we do have to be careful about that. I kind of regret playing that double turbo. We don't want to play the energy when we don't need to. And I played it when I didn't need to, unfortunately. So here we are. Now I'm sweating about that. But our opponent has a 5-card hand. They will get to see 4 cards off of these Comfies. So maybe we've put them in a little bit of a predicament. I think that was a great turn to judge. Their Lost Zone is looking fantastic compared to others that I've seen. 3 Battle VIP pass in the Lost Zone is awesome. They're down 2 Chorus. 1 Clara. That means they have 2 more Chorus and at least one Clara left in the deck. And maybe our opponent has just given up. They just conceded we top deck another Urn, so we're not even going to worry about playing Research right now. We don't have to. We're just going to heal up the Archeops, not play the Urn, and just do another beatdown. And I think our opponent has given up here, which is really good for us. Really, really good for us. Take prize number 5, lucky number 5, Collapsed Stadium. We could utilize that at some point, and it's our opponent's turn. I don't think they're here. I think they conceded in terms of just not playing anymore, which I wonder, I have a feeling that some people like close out the game, which makes the game think that they're technically still playing, but they're not and they're gone, so the timer runs down, which is the most annoying way to concede the game. So if you do that, just concede and then close the game. Like, let people move on with their time, because then this happens. But another good setup with Lugia. I mean, this shows the power of single strike Lugia. We saw it in the last game too. We're able to reset some of the damage with Radiant Tsareena. And we have Cheren's care for Lugias as well, so it would be really hard for Lost Box if they're not taking one-shots to win here. And we set up pretty well. This deck is really good at setting up. Professor Burnett makes it kind of good. And there we go, our opponent has conceded. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching Lugia beat up on some of these decks here. And the consistency for it. I didn't think it'd be as consistent as before, but reality is it might take you one extra turn to set up, and that's about it. Professor Burnett does allow you to get those Archeops in the discard, and you have plenty of ways to find your Lugia V-Stars. 11, if I'm not mistaken, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Capturing Aroma, and 3 V-Stars themselves. Yeah, so you got 11 ways to find Lugia V-Star, so I think this deck is really fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we will see you next time on Crash Blade Gaming.